Hey everyone, welcome back to Patriot Ridge Farm. It's Mike. So the hay's been baled out of the meadows, and with the fence that we have, which is the 2-wire electric fence on this particular paddock, so they can only get so close to the fence when they cut with a disc mower, or even if they have a hay bind, they can only get so close to the fence. So as you can see down here, this line I haven't cut yet. I've already done Boris's entire fence, or his entire paddock. Actually had a big old tree fall on it, so I had to get in there with a chainsaw and get it cut up as well. And as I went through, I've adjusted the fence. And what I mean by that is number one, any fence that you put up is going to stretch over time when it's under tension. So, yeah, forgive me here, I'm getting old. You have to go through, and what I did was I raised the fence up 1 notch on each post, on the T-posts, and that lifts it up off the ground. I need to get another step-in post here and a couple more down through here, and I'll get those here in a little bit. But as the pigs come in from the other side, they rooted up underneath of the fence, and they changed the landscape or the topography there, and it made the fence a little closer to the ground. So as I went through, and after I weed whacked everything, I went through and raised the fence up. And that way, when I do get them back in this paddock, which is probably going to be in the next couple weeks, that fence isn't on the ground, and as they root, they'll actually root dirt under the fence instead of pushing it over the top of it on the bottom line. Now, when I do move the pigs this time, I'm going to separate them. I'm only going to put 4 of them back in this paddock. You can see it's recovering well. So I'm only going to put 4 in this one, leave the other 4 where they're currently at. And that way I don't have near the food competition and near the impact this time that we had with the first run. Now I've cleared this all the way out, corner post right there, and then just about halfway down over the hill. I've still got to get to the bottom and do the whole fence line all the way along the bottom. So by the time I'm done, there's well over a mile of fence that I've had to weed eat and clear and readjust and everything. It's because they've already cut the hay off. Now I need to get back in here because I don't want my fence grounding out or, you know, losing jewels and stuff just simply because of the contact. Now this is the Gallagher turbo wire. If I'm trying to remember if it's 7 or 9 different strands of metal in that wire, and it makes it a good low impedance wire, which means vegetation doesn't typically make it ground out, but you want to keep your fences clean. And I'm a procrastinator when it comes to that, unfortunately. I usually wait till after the first cutting and then come in and weed whack it real good. Now, I do not use herbicides at all on this farm. Absolutely no herbicides. I don't care what they say about the half-life of it, or, you know, you spray it and it's done, it's gone in a week or a month. I'm just not doing that. What I will do, and I'll have to be careful with this, is I'll get some 30% vinegar and I'll mix it with a little bit of Dawn dishwashing liquid and some Epsom salt, and I'll come in and I'll spray the bottom of the fence line. I want to avoid the wires if at all possible, because that vinegar can cause oxidation in the metals in that fence, and I don't want that to happen. So I'll get that done in the coming weeks. Now, I've been at it all day. It's rained, it's got humid, it got cold, it rained some more, and I've been out here the whole time trying to get this stuff done. Now, this is for folks who are thinking about farming and thinking, oh, it's nice, it's cool, and I want to have chickens so I can have my own eggs, and, you know, I might want to raise a couple goats or something like that. All right, let's get real here. I'm 52 years old. I ain't got the stamina that I used to have. This is hard work. This is very hard work. And now that the rain stopped, we got pretty good cloud cover going on, and it's really starting to get humid again. But let's look at some of the equipment and the tools. Now, this is for me, okay? This is for me solely. Your whole setup may be completely different, but we have large acreage here. We have over 184 acres, and I've only got 6 total acres probably fenced in. So this is just the maintenance on this. And like I said this morning, when I went through Boris's paddock and got almost all the way around, I had a big cherry tree that fell during one of the recent storms and was across his fence, and that thing was about 18-20 inches in diameter. So it took a lot of cutting to get that thing up off of there and get it moved. So tools of the trade for large acreage: an ATV or a side-by-side, absolutely a game changer for us. This is probably about a quarter recreational. It does not leave the farm. It's about a quarter recreational, and that is just take the kids for a ride, hit some mud, go fishing at the pond and stuff like that. But other than that, a good heavy weed eater, a good strong weed eater. This is a Stihl FS111R. This thing does everything that I need it to do. It's a 2-cycle, and it sounds like a 4-stroke. I mean, that thing's amazing. Good eye and ear protection for both weed eating and cutting hay or cutting wood. I like this because when you try to wear safety glasses or goggles, they're constantly fogging up. You're constantly wiping stuff off of the lens. This works really good. Now, you will get some small dirt particles in this, and you know, it'll come up and hit you if you get down in the dirt really with it good. But as far as, you know, protecting you from weeds and stuff like that flying up and hitting you, it's good stuff. Of course, it's Stihl brand too. I'm not promoting Stihl. That's just the brand that I prefer. Then a good chainsaw. This is a 20-inch bar on this one. I can't really think of the name of it right now, or the model. I think it's an MS270 or something like that. But with that, always bring a big roll of weed eater string, fence clips to change any broken ones or adjust. They're in my cargo pocket at the side of my pants, as is extra string that I take with me as I'm moving along the fence. I've got bar oil, I've got gasoline that'll work in both weed eater and the chainsaw. Now, optional equipment. If you're like me, music is life, and I absolutely love to listen to music while I'm working. I listen to music all the time, so I got these little Bluetooth earbuds that I put in my ears, put my hearing protection on, and I just go to town. Guard puppies are optional, always good companions. They're always right there for you. They'll see what you don't see while you're working. So having good puppies, that's a plus there. But you can see I've still got all this to go out through here, all the way around, clear out by the house and down. And then my big job left is getting the lower part of it where it hits the bottom field and cuts across there. And it's weird to get this kind of weather during this time of year. It's right now, I think it's warmed up to about 70, 72 degrees, and it is humid. But earlier it was in the mid 60s. It was just sprinkling rain, that misty rain kept me good and wet. And actually, one point I got kind of cold because I stopped and I drank 4 bottles of water. And that's another thing I should actually have out here with me is water, but I'm still close enough to the house. And I got about halfway around Boris's Pen, and the only thing I've had this morning was a mug of coffee, and I didn't pre-fill my tank, so to speak, before I went out. And even though it is, you know, a little bit cooler weather, you're still working, you're still sweating. I mean, this is not exceptionally difficult work, but it is still activity. And I got about halfway around, I stopped to pee. I know you want to hear that. And I noticed that my pee was really dark, and I thought, man, I probably need to get some electrolytes in me. So I have some electrolyte powder that I put in a bottle of water, went to the house, sat down on the porch, shook it up, drank it, and then I drank 3 more bottles of plain water. Felt 100% better. So always remember, especially in the warmer weather, keep yourself hydrated with water. Try to avoid your carbonated beverages and stuff, because they're not going to rehydrate you like water will. And take breaks. Don't beat yourself to death. You're not 10 foot tall and bulletproof. I'm definitely not anymore, I can tell you that. But when I was a kid, I used to love to weed eat. And this is the first, I'm talking the first powered gas weed eaters they had available. And we had a home light. The engine was actually on the bottom instead of at the top. So that thing was ridiculously heavy. It did not have a shoulder strap to help hold the weight. So you went weed eating, the engine was on the bottom, and that's where your weight was, and you had to keep that thing going and weed eating. And I used to love it when I was younger. When I was a kid, I used to love to weed eat. Of course, I was weed eating in the yard. I wasn't weed eating over a mile of fence. And so things has changed now. So if you're thinking about the farming life, if you're thinking about, you know, getting some land, you got to understand, this is not for the lazy. There's nothing easy about farming. You have to keep up on your equipment. You have to keep up on your fence. You know, with this, like I said, with this acreage, the tractors and stuff, that makes all the difference in the world. But as far as everything else goes with building fence, maintaining fence, and taking care of animals and stuff like that, a good ATV or a good side-by-side that you can pack your equipment on, and that way you're not walking half a mile back to the building to get this when you need it, get that when you need it. Bring your fuel, bring your bar oil, bring your tools, bring extra string, bring everything that you need, including water. That's the big thing. And you know, take your time and take breaks. Take breaks. Don't be afraid to sit down for about 15 minutes. Every time that you stop and sit down, drink a bottle of water. and that way you're not getting yourself dehydrated. Like I said, this is a rare treat. It is starting to warm up a little bit now and getting a little bit more humid. Still sprinkling just a little bit, but you know, you can get dry really quick in this kind of weather. Dry as and dehydrated, and you don't want to do that, because I've seen it too many times. You know, before I became a nurse, I was a paramedic, and when we get in the middle of summer, talking July, August, when it really gets hot around here, I can't tell you how many heat exhaustions and heat strokes and stuff that I truly seen and had to, you know, take care of and get them to the hospital and stuff. And I've experienced heat exhaustion once in my life before, and I'll tell you, it's not fun. It's not fun, and it's not a quick recovery. You're talking a couple of days before you feel back to your normal self. So don't play games with it. This is not this is not a bougie lifestyle. I use that word because I think it's funny. This is not a bougie lifestyle. It's not all about having pet chickens. It's not all about having pet goats or pet lambs. It's about work, and it's about maintaining the land, maintaining your infrastructure, making sure your animals are cared for and taken care of, keeping your fence up, and keeping the brush cut back. So, you know, this isn't something, like I said, that this isn't Barbie Playhouse. Another thing is, keep your cell phone with you. Hopefully you got service where you're at. And that reason for that is I've slipped and fell a couple times out here already because the ground's a little wet. If you fall out here and injure yourself, grab that phone, call a family member, call your wife, call your husband, whoever it is, or call 911 if you have to. But if I get hurt out here, I can yell my head off and people may hear it in the hollow here, but they're probably not going to know where it's coming from or where to come, because, like I said, the neighbors are good ways off, and with the heavy foliage on, it's hard to tell exactly what direction a call for help would be coming from. So that's just simple safety stuff, okay? That's not being overbearing. That's not being, you know, ultra ridiculously, you know, overkill. That's just smart things. And believe me when I tell you that I am one that is injury prone. I can always get into something, and I can always do something, cut myself, you know, or you know, fall and hurt myself. And you know, those are the things. Always keep a communication with you, communication device with you, be it a cell phone, a little walkie-talkie, or whatever. Make sure the person that's waiting on the other end of that has that phone or walkie-talkie turned on. They don't have music blaring or something like that where they're going to miss a call if you have an emergency. And you know, if you get heat exhaustion out here, like I said, you're going to go down. And when you get heat exhaustion, you're not thinking right. You're not thinking correctly. I am literally soaking wet all the way down, and that's probably about a quarter rain and the rest is sweat, because you are moving and active. But good tools for the trade, just some good safety ideas here, because like I said, this isn't a hobby lifestyle. This is not a hobby lifestyle. You may have backyard chickens, you may have backyard rabbits, you may have, you know, little pygmy goats or little fainting goats or whatever, but in the reality of things, if you're doing this for self-sustainability, if you're doing this as a lifestyle to get better, healthier food that you can raise on your own and process on your own and everything, these are quintessential tools that are very necessary. So don't think you're going to buy a bunch of property and just start, you know, having a hobby, now. There are tools that are required. There is backbreaking work that is required. You're going to put a lot of sweat, blood, and tears into it, because that's how it goes. That's just how it is. You have to work with the land, not against the land. And you don't want to do anything to damage or poison your land by using any kind of chemicals and stuff. Get out there, grab that weed whacker, and start sweating. Get that chainsaw, cut the trees back off your fence line, keep that stuff cleared off, and it makes it easier as you stay on top of it. It makes it easier. And when you have a full-time job off the farm, let me tell you something. It's Sunday. I'm out here busting my hump. I still got a whole bunch of fence line to weed eat today. I've already had to take one long break. I sit down for about 45 minutes, like I said, and I drank 4 bottles of water, one with electrolyte solution in it. So it's not fun and games. Anyways, so obviously I got a whole bunch more work to do. I'm taking my time. I'm pacing myself. I'll probably finish this up today, this run up here to top, and probably tomorrow evening I'll get down there and hit the bottom fence and get that done tomorrow. And that way I can knock it out in a couple days. I'm not overstraining, overworking myself, and I've still got time for family. I've still got time for other things. So essential tools, that's for our farm. Yours may be different, but make sure when you get into this, understand it's not a game. It's really not a game, especially when you're my age. All right, guys, that's it. I got work to do. I'm sitting here taking my break while I'm doing the video, and I'm about to get back into it. Puppies are laid out in the grass down there, staying nice and cool. They're staying right with Daddy. Get and stay prepared, stay free. God bless y'all.